it's your plan, Lord, I know, to give up the things I cannot gain until I let them go. In sweet surrender.
Greetings once again from near Ripley, West Virginia, where this edition of The Story Behind the Song is originating this week. As you can tell, when I'm here at West Virginia, I have to put my camo duds on because otherwise, if I step out the house for a minute, I'm liable to be hung up in the barn and gutted. You know, on Thanksgiving Day this year, all we had to do is slide the window open a little bit and kapow! You know, there went little Bambi from our deer stand, which is disguised as a house. Anyway, it was Election Day, Tuesday, November the 7th. The year was the year 2000. George W. Bush and Al Gore were competing for the presidency of the United States of America. I was outside of Raleigh, North Carolina, a little place called Cary, where my co-writing buddy, the late Shannon Childress, had initially moved after he left the Hoppers. Well, that's the day we began writing the song that you're about to hear. We worked on it for several months, and finally we finished it by February of 2001. But hey, those of you who were around in those days, you know, too, that like the election of 2020, the election of 2000 took several weeks to complete as well. We were in a marathon writing session as our group was making preparations to record another album. Shannon had heard 2 words in a secular song, and he wanted he and I to fashion a gospel song around those 2 words. And those words were sweet surrender. He knew that the beginning of the song was to say, I'm going to resign myself to a life of sacrifice. I'm going to submit to your will. And then he felt like that we should talk about abandoning liberties that we have as believers, which basically becomes somewhat of a sliding scale many times that really only helps us make the determination whether we're going to obey what we're hearing Father say or not. For years, we as writers were trying to figure out just what the limits of our liberties were. We knew that when we followed our own way in a quest for fulfillment, it seemed that the opposite of fulfillment took place. It does take great faith to surrender at first, because we're wondering whether this God that we've never seen is really going to do what he says. Will he be faithful to his promises? Of course, after one walks a life of faith for many years, that faith becomes way less of a walk in darkness because of the ability to look back over our lives and see just how faithful our Heavenly Father has been to us by our own experience. In those days, however, we went to the great Hall of Faith chapter in Hebrews to observe the surrender to obedience of our great heroes of the faith in chapter 11. Faith. Hebrews 11:1. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. It's touchable, it's viewable. And by it the elders obtained a good report. By faith Abel offered unto God a more excellent sacrifice. By faith Enoch was translated that he should not see death. By faith Noah, being warned of God, prepared an ark to the saving of his house. By faith Abraham obeyed, and he went out, not knowing whither he went. Hebrews 11:11. Through faith also Sarah herself received strength to conceive seed. By faith Abraham, when he was tried, offered up Isaac, and he that had received the promise offered up his only begotten son. By faith Isaac blessed Jacob and Esau concerning things to come. By faith Jacob, when he was a dying, blessed both the sons of Joseph, that would be Ephraim and Manasseh. By faith Joseph, when he died, made mention of the departing of the children of Israel, in other words, out of Egypt, and gave command concerning his bones. By faith Moses, when he was born, was hid 3 months of his parents. And by faith Moses, when he was come to years, refused to be called the son of a Pharaoh's daughter. By faith he forsook Egypt. By faith they passed through the Red Sea as by dry land, which the Egyptians, saying to do the same thing, were drowned. By faith the walls of Jericho fell down after they were compassed about 7 days. By faith the harlot Rahab perished not with them that believed not, when she had received the spies with peace. And what shall I say more, Shaul? Paul said, for the time would fail me to tell of Gideon and Barak and Samson and David and Samuel and the prophets, who through faith subdued kingdoms, wrought righteousness, obtained promises, stopped the mouths of lions, quenched the violence of fire, escaped the edge of the sword, out of weakness were made strong, waxed valiant in fight, turned to flight the armies of the aliens. Women received their dead raised to life again, and others were tortured, not accepting the deliverance, that they might obtain a better resurrection. So we determined that the sweetness of surrender was what was exemplified by these great heroes of the faith, the protection, the deliverance, the blessing that was demonstrated as a result of obedience to the surrender to the voice of what they had heard the Father saying. Just like these great heroes, we learned, Father, it's your plan, I know, for me to give up these things I cannot gain until I let them go. Here's the song recorded on this video early in the winter of 2001 with the late pastor Jimmy Dillon at the Shining Light Baptist Church, Greensboro, North Carolina, and it's called Sweet Surrender. About 95% of what God's given us to sing, He's given me to either write or co-write. This next one I started writing election day, this past election day. I didn't get it finished. Of course, there's a lot of things didn't get finished that day, from what I can remember. Finally finished it in February. Patty sings it for you now. It's called Sweet Surrender.
I resign myself to sacrifice, submitting to your will, abandoning the liberties that's left me unfulfilled. My offering is conflict, this warfare's ravaged me. My life